Good evening, Anne Arundel County. Good evening, America. Welcome to Promoting Community Conversation and Discovery. I'm your host, Anthony Bynum. The name of our production company is the Glen Burnie Players. These are exciting times here in Anne Arundel County. Now, they're pretty warm times here in Anne Arundel County. We might get some rain this weekend. Hopefully, we do. Let's see what happens. But this is going to be an exciting show. An exciting show. So before we start with the show, a few little bit of business I want to take care of. Let's first address upcoming events. I get most of these upcoming events through the Anne Arundel Arts Council. I've been looking at that recently. So there is a play. It's called The Miser. It started on 6/18. It runs through the 27th at the Classical Theater of Maryland, which is right at Reynolds Tavern. Now, Reynolds Tavern is at 7 Church Circle, Annapolis. So the beautiful cobblestone roads that are right there in Church Circle, it's right there. It's right there. Now, on 8/3 or on Friday nights, there's a free concert series at Quiet Waters Park. That's in Pasadena. Get the opportunity, check out what's going on over there. Free music, right? The savage in all of us. We need music to just, or to right? So, good opportunity. 8/16, there is a play. It's called Legally Blonde. So adaptation of the movie, obviously. This is being held at the Children's Theater of Annapolis. So that's on 8/16. You can Google that and see if you're interested in checking that out. We want to acknowledge our affiliates. These are the cable access stations that run our show. So we start off here with the Anne Arundel Cable Access or Cable Access TV. Thank you for running our show. Greenbelt Cable Access, that's in PG County. Thank you for running our show. Amherst Media, which is in Amherst, Massachusetts. Thank you for running our show. Manhattan Neighborhood Network, the 5 boroughs, in the place so lovely they named it twice. New York, New York. Thank you for running our show. As a matter of fact, they just finished running, I believe it was episode 3, Don't Get Fooled Again. So, we need to be seen. We're trying to be bigger than we are. We're trying to get better each time, but we need help from whatever source, any source that we can get the help from. Talking about shows, fingers crossed again, perhaps this weekend we'll get the finishing touches of Jazzing with the Ushers. We've been working on it with my editing team back and forth, nip and tuck, nip and tuck. Let's see what happens this weekend, folks. Okay. Now, we want to give credit where credit's due regarding our research. So we want to thank the fine people at Wikipedia who make much of our information available to us. We want to thank Google Images for, again, making some of these images we share with you available. And this week, we want to thank the Poem Farm for the poem that we're going to present to you shortly. We want to thank our underwriting/sponsor, the Cleaning Chef. If anyone is interested in their services, go to the credits and you can find out more about what they do. Okay. Now we want to start with our most admired. Jerry Orbach. Jerry Orbach was around for a long time in the business. Now, he's gone now, but he left a major footprint. We're going to specialize or hone in on a couple of the productions I think of most about when I think about Jerry Orbach. But before I do, let's kind of go over a little information. So he was born 10/20/1935. He died 12/28/2004. He was a Broadway star. He was an actor. Starting early, one of the beauties of individuals like Mr. Orbach is that they know what they want. They knew what they wanted to do in the beginning, and they never strayed. And you're gonna see that. You can see that in a minute. So he was the only child born of Emily Orbach, a greeting card manufacturer and a radio singer, and Leon Orbach, a restaurant manager and vaudeville performer. Those folks had it in their blood. They had it in their blood. His father was a Jewish immigrant from Hamburg, Germany. His mom is a native of Lucerne County, Pennsylvania. She was Roman Catholic. She was of Polish and Lithuanian descent. Now, the family moved a lot early on, okay? But after graduating from high school, young Jerry worked at a theater in Chevy Chase, at the Chevy Chase County Club, Country Club in Wheeling, Illinois. So that's where they were at the time. He enrolled at the University of Illinois. At some point, he transferred to Northwestern University, also out there in the great Midwest. But before he graduated, he moved to New York to pursue his acting career. It was bubbling. He knew he could do it. He got involved with Broadway productions early. He just had it, you know? He was one of the first stars of a Broadway production that lasted for over a decade. It was called Fantasticks, and it ran for over a decade. Now, this was before my time. This is basically early 1960s, but it was obviously very popular if it ran for over a decade. And he sang the first one is to sing the theme song for this. So again, I'm just trying to put it in perspective. I wasn't there, I'm not familiar with the play, I'm not familiar with the production, but it was a big deal. It was a big deal. Now, he kept working through the 60s and 70s. He's doing all this Broadway stuff. He's always working. You know, the phone's always ringing. He's not calling his agent's calling him. You know, that's a good thing. That's a good problem to have. But at some point, he decided he wanted to tackle television, the small screen. Now, maybe that was not a taboo thing. Maybe he didn't do that in those days. I don't know, because I don't know why it would have taken him so long to make that decision. But here's a guy that you always saw in the early 80s. He was doing guest spots here, guest spots there. He would do Golden Girls. I think he was in Golden Girls a couple times. Murder, She Wrote, he had a somewhat recurring spot as one of the detectives who always, you know, worked with Angela Lansbury. Yes. Well, I'd have to find out his character because, you know, not all of those guys did work with her. I might have to research that to see what kind of detective he was in that show. Who's the Boss? He did Who's the Boss? I don't know if he was a strange dad of Tony, or I don't know, love interest for, or maybe the mom dad of Angela. I don't know. I did not see that episode, I have to be honest with you. But for Jerry Orbach, for me, it comes down to two characters. Lenny Briscoe in Law and Order. You know, Law and Order is one of my favorite detective shows of all time. It was so well done in the 90s. So well done in the 90s. And so he was on it for a long time. He did not start on it originally. There were a couple other guys there first. But he came in there and he had such a presence. And somewhere in there, he figured it out. The wisecrack. So he and Detective Curtis, or he and Detective Green would come onto the scene, and they find the body, and they, you know, canvass for bullets and witnesses and all that kind of stuff. And right before they go to commercial, he'd always have something to say. Like, you know, if the guy was a pilot, he might say something like, well, he's down now. And they go to commercial. Oh, it was marvelous. Marvelous, marvelous. I would love the way he would get guys to turn. Because, you know, in the beginning, he said, oh, I didn't see nothing. I didn't see nothing. And then he'd get him on something. So, hey, but don't tell my boss. It was a great character. The other one, though, was a Disney production, Beauty and the Beast. Walt Disney, before they went to the Pixar computer animated, computer generation animation, they had three great cartoons, movies. One of them was The Hunchback of Notre Dame. One of them was Beauty and the Beast, which we're going to talk about. And then they had Lion King. And Beauty and the Beast, Jerry Orbach showed his true chops because he played a lamp with a French accent. And he sang! And he was great! He was great. He showed us everything that he had. But there is more to the story, though. You see, Law and Order got going like 1991-ish, 19 somewhere in there. A couple years into the show, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and he kept it secret. He kept it secret, and he fought through. And for 13 years, they did all kinds of episodes and all kinds of different things. And maybe a few people knew, but he kept it quiet. And then right in the middle of the season, it's time to go. And he left us. It's like a moment you know something's happened. Kind of like, when I was watching Good Times and as a kid and they get the telecard the postcard that James Evans died in the car accident. It was just like, oh my goodness, this must be a mistake. But it wasn't a mistake. It was time for Mr. Orbach to go. But for all the great times and great memories this week, we have to give him our most admired. So thank you, Jerry. Thank you so much. Okay, so now we want to move on and talk about something of consequence regarding Anne Arundel County. So we're going to move our screen to what? The Blue Angels. Well, Annapolis is in Anne Arundel County. Let's talk about the Blue Angels. I'm going to bring up a picture. So the Blue Angels were actually formed in 1946. They are the U.S. Navy Flight Demonstration Squadron. Usually the formations are made up of 6 Navy pilots or Navy planes and 1 Marine plane. They call them demonstrators. They often fly the Boeing FA-18 Super Hornet. I think you can see that right there in the picture, the blue planes, blue and kind of a yellowish gold, I guess. You can tell I wasn't in the Navy. They also have a Lockheed Martin C-130J Super Hercules. So I know what a C-130 is. Oh yeah, you can see it down there at the bottom. I guess they use that for stunts too. Usually that's a transport plane. They don't have seats in those. I know. I know. They have this giant rope that you can fashion into your own seat. That's an experience. I flew in one time. So these guys are fantastic. And there's a sense of pride because they're our boys and ladies too, probably by this time. And they're magnificent in what they do. And it gives you a sense of pride watching them. I think they would do a flyover in May, as I recall, from my days working in Annapolis. And we'd all stop and go outside and watch them. It was okay. 2:30, everybody, 2:30, don't take a call. So, yes, our hats are off to those demonstrators. So, we have one last bit of business. We're going to stop the share. I usually like to find something that kind of fits in. And like I said, with Jerry Orbach, Luminaire was the name of the candle. So this week, the poem, which we get from the Poem Farm, written by Amy Ludwig van der Water, is called This Candle. I could stare at this candle forever, watching the flame flicker, orange and gold. I think about candles in small glowing windows, candles in stores, my grandfather told. Actually, it's candles in stories, my grandfather told. Warming my hands on a dark, snowy night, this candle fills me with peace and with light. And again, that's called This Candle, and it was written by Amy Ludwig van der Water. So, Anne Arundel County, you have to understand this is my pleasure reaching out to you. It's my pleasure. Yes, we are trying to build something bigger than us. but these things take time and it's a process. So the key is to stay energetic, enthusiastic, and truthful. True to thyself, being true to thy own self. I believe that's the term. So for everyone here at the Glen Burnie Players, again, my name is Anthony Bynum. Until next time, bye-bye.